Hi class, welcome to Artistic Lessons. My name is Monica and I'm going to be your teacher for the next 4 lessons as we take a closer look at learning about artists with disabilities in the 20th and 21st century. In today's video, we're going to be learning about Henri Matisse and his paper cutouts. Let's get started with the lesson. Henri Matisse was a French artist born in 1869. Early in his career, he focused on art that was inspired by the Impressionists in a movement known as Fauvism. Deriving from the French language, Fauvism means wild beasts, and it was inspired by the bright colors and ways of expression that these artists used in their paintings. Taking a look at these examples, we can see just how unnaturalistic Henri Matisse's use of colors were at this point in his career. The fluid movement and bright colors emphasize the vividness of each painting, but are not representative of nature. As his career progressed, Henri Matisse worked in many different mediums, including drawing, sculpture, and paper cutouts, which is what we are going to be learning about today. Henri Matisse spent the last 10 years of his life pioneering this art style after his surgery for cancer left him disabled and bound to a wheelchair. He would begin by dyeing paper into specific tones and hues that he would later use in the cutouts. With the help of assistants, he would pin these up and rearrange them however he desired. Over here you can see the pins that are still in place. These artworks would range in size, some being as small as just one cutout, and others taking over an entire wall. Let's take a closer look at these shapes. These are known as organic shapes. They derive from nature and form shapes such as coral and leaves, anything that shows fluidity and movement. But these aren't the only shapes he used. He also used geometric shapes, which have straight edges and are shapes such as triangles, squares, and rectangles. He also sometimes combined these two methods in making art that has both organic and geometric shapes. Now that we learned a little bit more about Henri Matisse and his art practice, let's get started with today's project. You will need glue, a pencil, scissors, and colored paper. If you don't have colored paper, you can also use newspaper or magazine clippings. We're going to begin by thinking about what kinds of shapes we want to draw. Looking back in the video and thinking about Henri Matisse's artworks, we can choose either organic or geometric shapes. As you can see, I've taken the approach of starting with organic shapes because these are the ones I preferred most. Take inspiration from Henri Matisse's artworks. These shapes don't have to be perfect. As long as you can maintain the fluidity, you're off to a great start. These shapes don't have to be complicated. Take for example, drawing a circle. Let's speed things up a little. If you're having trouble knowing where to start, you can start off by simply sketching your shape. Then go back and circle around, making sure to get both sides and meeting at the end. This way you can draw any shape you want with simply drawing the sketch first and circling back around it. After you completed your circle, go back and erase your sketch marks. Continue this method until your page is full, or until you feel comfortable enough to move on to your next shapes. You can also choose to draw geometric shapes. As you can see, I've moved on to another color now. If you have the materials available, this project works best if you have multiple colors for your final project. I started off by drawing some squares, rectangles, rhombuses, triangles, anything that comes to mind when you think of a geometric shape. Here are some more sped up examples of organic shapes that you can use. Remember to use our method that we learned about if you are having trouble drawing these shapes. After you completed your drawings, now it's time to cut out your shapes. I started off with this green shape, and as you can see, I'm holding my scissors in place and moving the paper around. I find this way of cutting a lot more exact and easier. We're going to try and cut around this piece without compromising any of the other pieces. This way we can use the scraps afterwards in our final project if we want to. Now that you've cut out all your shapes, it's time to arrange your cutouts on another piece of paper. In my opinion, this is the most fun part because you get to really play around and see what creations you can come up with. We're not going to be pinning them down like Henri Matisse was for his larger artworks because we're working on a flat surface, but I think this is a really great way to see the possibilities of what you can use and make with your artwork. Your cutouts or the arrangements you make don't have to be the same as my own. See what you can come up with and play around with it. You can also try this on another colored piece of paper. Henri Matisse worked with all kinds of colors, and you don't have to stick with white if you don't want to. Once you're happy with your arrangement, the final step is to just paste them down with glue. You can use either white glue or glue stick, depending on what kind of paper you're using. There you have it, artists. You have now completed your very own Henri Matisse inspired artwork. Don't they look so amazing? I love how mine turned out, and you can just see how many shapes were used. Look at all those organic and geometric shapes. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson and tune in next week for our next artist. Thanks for watching. As you make your own artistic creation, think about how similar or different your art practice is to Henri Matisse's.